Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. I hope you're having a lovely day because you definitely deserve it. Today, this is just a weird video, just because I feel like I'm sort of still in a creative rut. I haven't been able to do any creative writing lately, just like little chunks, maybe about like 100 to 300 words come out and then like it just stops and none of it is like plot relevant. And I feel like that's coming into my commonplace too, is one, I haven't really read anything that I just feel like I need to commonplace, and I think I'm going about this in the wrong way, and I'll explain. So you're gonna see me struggle. I actually sped up most of this video because I spent 10 minutes just struggling for a layout. We ended up commonplacing the lyrics to the song 1,000 Black Water Lilies by Aurora, and then commonplacing about this art piece that was done by, I don't know, some artist. It's like a chandelier in the woods, which is really cool. And like, these are things that I wanted to commonplace about, but I think I was just trying to force them to fit on this page and it wasn't really working. And so I fiddled with the layout for like too long of a time. And then usually I don't listen to music while I commonplace, but I was listening to music, and music, I think a lot of people feel this way. It really affects, you know, the vibe and how you're feeling and your mood. So to have like the music changing, especially because I was just listening to like my liked, which is a bunch of different kind of stuff, not like a curated playlist. So like the moods kept changing and it was just weird. This whole commonplace page was just weird, and I was trying to film it, you know, while my boyfriend was at work, and like I had the apartment to myself, and it starts to get dark through the video because the sun goes down, and I don't know, everything, the energy around this page is just, everything goes wrong. I try kind of like an overlay thing with some vellum paper, and it wasn't happy. It didn't want to be written on. Yeah, so I guess moral of the story is I ended up not really liking these pages, and honestly, I eventually just gave up halfway through writing on the vellum, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. And I considered scrapping the video and filming something new today, but I feel like there's a lesson here. And I feel like it's okay to show our quote unquote failures on social media. I don't think this was a failure. I think this is an experiment and a playing around with creativity that resulted in something that I didn't love. This is a layout that I liked that I think I should have kept, but then I moved it and I changed things, and then I forgot what I had done. Or this one, maybe it was this one that I liked. Anyway, it was an experiment. It was playing around, and I don't think there can be any failure in that, really, because you're playing and you're experimenting and you're trying to be creative and get to know yourself. But it's some things, you know, they don't feel right and they don't work out. And I think another lesson here is journaling, commonplacing, scrapbooking, junk journaling, whatever you want to call it, whatever you do, is supposed to be an enjoyable hobby. It's supposed to include things that you care about, that are relevant to you, and sort of naturally come into your life. At least that's my perspective. Or things that you like actively seek out in a way of like, I'm interested in this. I think that's why a lot of my spreads that have to do with jewelry end up being some of my favorite spreads, because it's something that I'm like genuinely interested in, but don't get to actively do a lot in my real life because jewelry is kind of expensive, you know? But meanwhile, like a lot of these articles, like the one I'm trying right now, was actually interesting. It was like some town in France had their version of like Excalibur stolen. It wasn't actually the Excalibur, which was kind of disappointing once I read the article, but like that was genuinely interesting to me. And like this photography, this art print of like the deer in the water was really inspiring to me. And so I keep feeling like commonplace pages need to be text for some reason, but they don't. Commonplacing is supposed to be anything that catches your eye, anything that you want to reflect on, whether that be photography or something else, or jewelry, you know, like, so I can make an entire spread about jewelry and there doesn't have to be any printed text and it can just be my handwriting. And I think I didn't realize that kind of until today when I was journaling outside this morning on the balcony, that maybe that's where this page went wrong, is it was feeling forced, because one, the whole idea of this song, the reason I was annotating it and commonplacing it, was more of for like a self-discovery therapy version. And so I think it should have gone into my spirituality journal rather than, which is like spirituality and therapy stuff, rather than like a commonplace journal. So it feels like the placement of that particular thing was wrong. And then it genuinely feels like this other article was like, oh, I needed something last week to commonplace about, and so I printed a bunch of articles that I had saved on my computer but had never felt I don't want to say good enough to print, but like I had skipped over printing them because I had found other stuff that was more interesting. So it was kind of like, I don't want to say sloppy seconds, that sounds so mean, but it was kind of stuff that it just overall felt forced. And like, I really wanted to talk to you guys this week about wardrobe and fashion stuff and minimalism, and how you don't have to, you know, like I'm working on getting like a full-time corporate job, and a lot of that is I'm gonna need a different wardrobe for that. And so I was thinking, you know, what kind of wardrobe do I want, what kind of thing do I want, and I kept buying thrifting all these clothes that didn't feel quite right. And it's because I kind of forgot that like it's still me, it's still my wardrobe. I'm not a different person when I go to an office job. And so I totally forgot to take into account my normal everyday wardrobe words and preferences. Instead, I was trying to be someone else, and honestly, I was trying to embody a character that I've written, and I feel like that's bleeding into my interior design. So I was going to talk to you guys today about how you are not necessarily your art, and how your art is a part of you, it's not you, and so you don't have to embody or make your entire life one aesthetic or one theme. You can be multiple things. And so that's probably what I would have commonplaced about, is like trying to find clothes and inspiration for a more modest, corporate friendly wardrobe rather than my everyday stuff, which I feel like is very casual and has like a hint of elevation but isn't corporate, you know. So it was, yeah, I hope you guys are getting my meaning of like, I really think these pages felt forced, and that's why the experiment didn't work, is because it was coming from a place of, I need to get a video out this week, it's Wednesday, I need to film something while my boyfriend's not gone, versus just letting things come naturally. And so I'd be really interested to know what kind of other videos you guys would like, because I don't want to get into the habit or the rut of forcing myself to commonplace just for the sake of a video. That's a waste of paper, that's a waste of printer ink, that's a waste of time and energy. So if there's any other videos that you guys would be interested in, please let me know. I would love to do them. And yeah, I think I've talked about that before, of like social media and YouTube and all this stuff. I'm trying really hard not to let it be something that I'm like trying to be an influencer, and therefore like I have to get stuff done. Like I really want it to be a place where it's like a safe creative haven, and like if I want to create, I can. But obviously I want to be consistent because I want to grow a community. You know, and yeah, it's just like a whole mess of things. But commonplacing is not necessarily something that has to be forced, and I think it's a great example. What I'm experiencing is a great example of when you turn a hobby into like a profession or something. Like I don't need to upload a video every week, because I mean, while it would be nice to eventually turn this into like a business or something, that isn't the main priority. The main priority is to just have fun and experiment with commonplacing, and I've been doing it for like about a year now, and I still really like it. So I don't want to burn myself out on it. Or like, it's like when writing became like a big part of my job and suddenly I wasn't able to write creatively anymore. It's like a whole balance. So moral of the story, don't force yourself to do things, and your Commonplace is for you. There was a person on Tumblr who had made a post of like, I want to start a Commonplace journal, but like, what do I put in it? And they were asking like, can I put this in it? Can I put this in it? And I replied to them and I said, it's your journal. At the end of the day, you can put whatever you want in it. You can put diary entries, you can put strictly commonplace, which to me, commonplacing is like other people's words and images, and text and stuff, and then like you reflect on it. But that, I've seen so many commonplace journals that are planners at the same time, that are diaries and junk journals at the same time. And I feel like, so I gave that person advice of like, this is what a commonplace is, but at the same time, if you want to add other things to it, you can, and I forgot to take that advice myself. So yeah, I really like last week's page too. Every time I look at it, I think the layout is so interesting, and so I think that was like an experiment done well, or that worked out. So not all of them are going to work out in life, and that's okay. We got to remind ourselves that not everything is going to work out, and not everything is permanent, and yeah. But I guess I have some time now that I've done my main spiel of this is what this spread was about, and you'll see at the end of like what I end up with and what I finalize. Again, I don't finish it because I was just feeling so frustrated by the end of it. But I guess I can move on and I can talk about, what I was telling you of like, I'm looking for a corporate job. This is going to be so niche. So like if you don't care about fashion or something, you might want to mute me at this point and put on some of your own music. But I consider myself a minimalist. I try and be very sustainable. And I try and be very intentional, especially about clothes. I am someone who cares about my clothes and cares about how I present myself to the world, not because I want to make them perceive me a certain way, but because I want to be authentic to myself. And I just, I want to look nice. I want to look cute. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to look cute or nice or whatever your aesthetic is, and wanting to adhere to that. So as I look for clothes for interviews and to possibly take into an office once I get hired, because that's what I'm looking at, I kept trying to go like a different direction. Like psychology says that if you wear blue to an interview, you're perceived as more trustworthy and therefore like more likely to get hired. And what's funny is like every interview where I've worn blue, like I have not gotten a call back, if that makes sense. But every interview where I've worn like my favorite shirt or something that feels more me, I've gotten a call back. And that's because that inherent confidence and that like inherent of being yourself is what helps you get the job or gets whatever you want, not putting on a costume and trying to do what psychology or science says is best. So I was buying clothes that were me, like, I try and look at fiber composition, so they were all, cotton or linen, and they were just like nicer versions. But I was forgetting like the color scheme. Like in my personal life, you can look at my Instagram, I literally only wear white or cream. Occasionally you'll see pink or red, but I really don't wear a lot of color. And I don't know why. I've actually learned it's because I like low contrast. I'm not a high contrast girly, except for in black and white photography. Then I love dark, sharp contrast in black and white photography. Is absolutely stunning. But everywhere else in my life, like in interior and clothes and even my car, I got a black car, which everyone in my life thought was so weird, but it makes perfect sense to me. Is because you cannot change the color of the wheels of your car, and you usually, or I don't know, maybe if you're super rich you can, but usually, standard is black wheels. And then also like the trim of a car, that protects against like snow and rain and sleet and all that by your wheels, black. So I got a black car with a black interior because I don't like contrast. It's easier on my eye and I think my anxiety if it's low contrast. So I was trying to create all these outfits and on Pinterest looking at these things that were so corporate. Like I have never, anytime, like I remember when I was in college and they would have us do mock interviews, I would wear like really corporate clothes, like button-ups and trousers, and it always feels like putting on a costume to me. That's not me. And so I was trying to approach a corporate or an interview wardrobe that was corporate, very strictly traditionally corporate, and that doesn't feel like me. That feels like a costume. It's uncomfortable to me. I do agree, sometimes you just gotta find the right trousers. There are a million different cuts and styles of trousers, so sometimes and by trousers, I don't know if anyone here is like a UK person or something, but by trousers I mean like nice pants. Like work pants, office pants. I don't know what you would call those in other areas, but yeah, so I was essentially just forgetting all my like normal principles and putting on this costume, and it was when I decided to stop and be like, okay, let me keep in mind, like, first of all, I'm a minimalist and I'm a sustainability person. I don't want to have two completely different wardrobes, one that I wear to work and one that I wear every day. I want all my pieces to be interchangeable and work together and still feel like me. And, if I want to look dressed up, I don't know, on like a normal day, like not have to like look completely different because I'm borrowing from my, I wanted everything to be interchangeable and still feel like me, and I want to get more use out of my clothes than just corporate. Maybe I won't be there forever, or maybe I don't want to spend that much money and I'm trying to look into my wardrobe and see what could work. So that's what I did. I went to my actual clothes that I already have and pulled out a bunch of stuff, or a few things that I thought, actually, yeah, this could get away with corporate. And then when I went thrifting the next time, I kept in mind, I actually got so lucky. I found a pair of white trousers that fit perfectly. They just need to be hemmed. But then I hemmed them myself and it was great. But like they fit really well and they flattered me really well, at least my perception of being flattered. And they were white. And so the next interview I went to, I was wearing a shirt that's like one of my favorite shirts, and pants that were my favorite pants. I wore Birkenstocks, which I probably shouldn't, but next on my list is to buy like nicer, like I want to get like Vivaya or Lofi pointed toe flats, because I have a pair of black ones that I've borrowed from my mom and they're super comfortable. So I just need to buy a pair that are like fit into my normal color scheme. But like I dressed like myself, and that felt a lot more better, and I think I did so much better at that interview and was so much more myself, and I was comfortable, and like that's what matters. So I guess, yeah, the moral of the story is, one, if you're trying to like create a work wardrobe or like a school wardrobe or something like that, don't forget like your own personality. You can always, obviously, like I said, and you can adjust. Like corporate is a little more modest than everyday stuff, or like it's a little bit more structured, but there's still elements of your true self and your authentic self and what you would wear on a normal everyday basis that you can bring into your work wardrobe, and that would it feels better for you. It's better for the environment because you're re-wearing your pieces and getting more value out of them. And then it's also better for your wallet because you're using your pieces more and getting more value out of them. I apologize if you've heard my cat. He's been grooming himself this entire time and he's really loud about it, but I think he's done. But yeah, and then the other moral of the story is like, you don't have to pretend to be someone else. Like just because you admire how someone dresses or on Instagram, or like I was taking inspiration from a character I wrote, like yes, it's a character I wrote and I love them, but I am not them. I am myself. I am a completely different person, with different interests and different everything. Like I'm a completely different person. First of all, that character's not even real. I mean, they're real to me in my own head, if you know what I mean, but like they're not like a real person, so, and they're not me, so why am I trying to be something that isn't me, if that makes sense? It was a good reminder to keep in mind, of like, I love these characters and they can inspire me in their mannerisms and their personality and how they handle themselves, but that doesn't mean I have to become them. I don't have to embody them in the, what's the word? I'm blanking on the word. Superficial, maybe, is the word I'm thinking of. I don't have to embody them in the superficial ways of clothing and hair and makeup and jewelry. I can embody them for how they hold themselves, or their demeanor, or their mannerisms that make me admire them. And I think once I took into consideration that perspective and switched to that mindset, it just felt a lot better. So look at that. I was able to talk about both the things that I wanted to talk about. As you can see, we are we have finished annotating the song, and now we're like making comments on the annotations. I have not annotated a song or annotated like I'm in English class in a long time, and this was weird, annotating something like I was in English class, or like trying to look into the psychology of why my brain was drawn to these certain words rather than just like reflecting on it in general. Does that make sense? So it was new to me. It was weird. I do like how this page without the overlay turned out, because it felt very free-flowing and free form. And I think I want to start using my darker pens again. I just like the way they look. The contrast. I like contrast on paper and in art apparently, but not in my visual life. In my day-to-day life. But so I liked how this looked without the vellum overlay on top, so I might just pull it out and just leave this page be, and then maybe not try and like redo it. But yeah, so again, like I said, not my favorite page, but it is what it is. We can move on. We can take lessons from it if we want to be all reflective, or we can just let it be. Not everything needs to be analyzed, although I did just spend 20 minutes analyzing way too many things. But I'm gonna go ahead and end this voiceover about here, so enjoy the rest of the video of my experiment. But I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a lovely day, afternoon, evening, morning, because you 100% deserve it, and I will see you guys next time.